Welcome to London Oven. Today I'm going to show you how to make the perfect British scones using US ingredients. So let's start with our ingredients. As we can't get self-raising flour in the supermarket, we're going to make our own, and it could not be simpler. I have 3.5 cups of all-purpose flour, and to that I've added 3 teaspoons of baking powder and 1 teaspoon of salt. 1 stick of butter cubed. For this recipe you want it at room temperature. 2 eggs, half a cup of whole milk, sugar. Traditionally we'd have used caster sugar. I've used granulated and it works just fine. And then also scones are typically made with sultanas. Couldn't find those. I'm using mixed berries. Don't tell anyone, I think they actually taste better. So let's get going. I'm going to give our flour mixture a quick stir and then pour that into the bowl like so. Then let's throw in our cubed butter, and then we're going to just mix this with our freshly washed hands and turn it into breadcrumbs. While we do that, fun fact for you, scones are actually Scottish. They only became popular in England during the 1840s as a part of the rise of afternoon tea. So thought that might be interesting for you. Typically in the UK, scones are a sweet treat, but in the US, we call them biscuits, and they are typically eaten savory. Right, so once you've got all of your butter really well worked into your flour, we're going to add our eggs and milk. So to the eggs, I'm gonna pour in my milk like so, and then we're going to be really good at multitasking because I'm going to keep crumbling and then give this a gentle mix. It doesn't need to be thorough, it just needs to be incorporated. Okay, and don't use all of your egg wash because we want a tiny bit left over for when we brush our scones before they go into the oven. So this looks like it's in a good spot. All the butter's incorporated. I'm going to make a well, which is just a hole in the middle of the flour mixture, and then this is where we're going to pour in our egg wash. Don't forget to add your sugar. Just needs a quick mix. Form your well again, and then we're going to pour in our egg and milk mixture, leaving a drop for our topping. There we go. So pour your flour right on top, and then we're going to incorporate this and make it into a dough. At this stage, if you find it's too wet or too dry, obviously top up with your eggy milk mixture. If it's too dry, you can top up with a little bit of flour. It does need to form a dough, but by the same token, you don't want to overhandle it or your scones will come out a little bit tough. This is a little bit dry, so I'm going to add some more egg and milk. There we go. Right. The next step is to flour your surface. Turn this out, and then we're gonna roll out our scones. Let's go. I've got my dough turned out onto a lightly floured surface. This is the point you want to add your dried fruits if you're adding them, and we're going to give it a light knead. Just incorporate the fruit. Again, we don't want to overwork the dough because it will make your scones really tough when it comes to baking. All right, so you just want to turn it out a couple of times and make sure that's all incorporated like so. And then you don't have to roll it too much. You want it maybe like 1.5 inches, pretty thick. And then I've got my cutter ready. We're gonna cut these out. Smooth side is posh, crinkle side isn't posh. It tastes exactly the same, so use whatever size you prefer. And let's start cutting these bad boys out. So we're going to use our leftover egg wash and just lightly brush the top of each scone. If your dough was a little dry and you needed to top up and you don't have egg wash left, you can always just brush these with plain milk. That also works pretty well. And we're just brushing each one lightly on the surface. Try not to let it go down on the side because that might stop it from rising. But this egg wash is going to give it hopefully a lovely brown glow when it comes out of the oven. So we're putting these in 350 degrees for 12 to 15 minutes. And then let's see what they look like when they come out. And there you have it, traditional British scones using American ingredients with a side of jam, double whipped cream, and it goes perfectly with a cup of tea.